Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. The IDB embarks on an exercise that would better equip local contractors to bid effectively and efficiently under the multilateral bank. Minister of Works and Infrastructure is vowing to ensure the unemployment relief program has an image worthy of respect. And the Desalination Company of Trinidad and Tobago will conduct a temporary shutdown of its Point Lisas plant. Thank you for joining us. Trinidad and Tobago has a good working relationship with the Inter-American Development Bank. This relationship can only be strengthened as the IDB embarked on an exercise that would better equip local contractors to bid effectively and efficiently under the multilateral bank.
One knows all too well how difficult it could be to access a loan from a regular commercial bank. Now, imagine if a country has to access a loan from a multilateral bank in the hundreds of millions, how challenging this could be, especially since there are strict guidelines and policies in place. These said guidelines and policies were explained in great depth at the Inter-American Development Bank's conference themed Doing Business Under IDB-Funded Projects. The conference took place on Thursday at the Hilton Trinidad and Conference Center and attracted a number of local contracting firms and stakeholders. IDB representative Michelle Cross-Fenty said the event, which is the first of its kind, is very important to Trinidad and Tobago.
We've estimated that every year between 20 and 30,000 contracts for goods and services are generated by loans and technical grants or technical corporations from our 26 borrowing member countries. And what we wanted to do was to give the firms and individual contractors in Trinidad and Tobago the opportunity to ensure that they understand and appreciate the rules, regulations and procedures necessary to be able to bid for our contracts.
Procurement specialist Shirley Gale Sinclair was confident that if a country were to adopt the IDB's guidelines for procurement, it would only serve to better the national exercise.
Our policies are based on international best practice. In fact, you will find commonality between the IDB and other multilaterals like the World Bank, the Asia Development Bank, because all these multilaterals have come together and have harmonized their rules and policies. And so we all espouse the same principles, and these are the same principles that we advocate to our partner countries that they should reflect in their national procurement system. And a big part of our intervention in all the countries, in all the developing countries, is about developing the national procurement system. So at another level in the media, you might hear that, that conversation going on about the bank, encouraging and working with the government to develop legislation and to put institutional structures in place to modernize and enhance the national system. So yes, to answer your question, if any government should adopt the same principles that the bank has in its policies, they would be on solid footing in terms of the national system.
Ms. Cross-Fenty noted that Trinidad and Tobago is a very important partner to the IDB, and a number of programs which have been undertaken by the bank in this country have not yet been embarked upon in other countries.
So, for example, we are moving ahead with our public-private partnership initiative where we are working with the government to initiate two pilot studies, one to build approximately 3 diagnostic centres under the Ministry of Health, and another to build some early childhood centres with education. So this is a relatively novel pilot that we're hoping will be very, very successful, so that we can take the best practices and roll it out to the rest of the Caribbean, appreciating that the Caribbean is made up of small island nations.
One may question why an oil and gas-rich country such as Trinidad and Tobago will need to borrow money from the Inter-American Development Bank or any multilateral bank for that matter. Well, Ms. Cross-Fenty explained that when a country accesses funding from the bank, it receives more than just financial assistance.
It's really important to draw a distinction at this point. The bank is made up of many, many different professionals, and what we bring to the table is an expertise in whatever the sector that loan intervention is going to be in. So basically, for the flooding and drainage loan that we are working on right now, which we hope to be approved by the board the first week of December, we will bring all of the technical skills and know-how to improve the drainage system in Port of Spain, which means bringing in expert designers, bringing in engineers, bringing in the whole cadre of people necessary to implement a project like the improvement of flooding and drainage, so that it's done well, so that it can be maintained for many, many years, so that the people in Trinidad and Tobago get the best value for money, that the contractors that we hire are done so pursuant to the rules and regulations that you're going to learn about here today in a transparent process.
Now, with a greater understanding of the procurement process, local contractors can be confident of winning a local bid and even one across the IDB's member states. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
In other news, the government under the Ministry of National Security is striving to raise the levels of local policing to its best, as such a program will soon be implemented to reward officers of the various arms of national security for going beyond or above and beyond the call of duty.
The use of incentives to improve the efficiency of the public sector is an important tool used by many governments as part of their public service agenda. In Trinidad and Tobago, the government is moving to ensure members of the protective services are not left out of this loop. Just this week, Captain the Honourable Gary Griffith, the Minister of National Security, announced that government will be launching an incentive program to reward officers who perform excellently in the line of duty. Noting that there is a need for performance measurement, Minister Griffith said this would go a long way in raising the morale of officers.
We have to look at one of the 4 principles again I spoke about, which has to do with measurement of performance. We need to have that yardstick, that tool to ensure we have that measurement of performance. Too often there's been the concern that measurement of performance is only based on an avenue to find a way to discipline individuals or to have them reassigned or fired, suspended. But unless we measure performance, it is going to be very difficult to actually reward police officers. And it goes again with computerized statistics even. Even ComStat can actually be utilized as a tool to assist us in measuring performance. Measuring performance is not just doing your duty, but doing something above and beyond the call of duty. And we intend to launch next month. It's actually a Ministry of National Security Awards program where we'll be looking at persons who have actually performed above and beyond the call of duty.
Minister Griffith said officers also needed to feel secure and confident that their loved ones will be taken care of should they be killed in the line of duty.
Even I knew about it when I was in the Defense Force. Law enforcement officers, members of the protective services and the Defense Force, they're killed in the line of duty. And in some instances, the family get all of about 2 or 3 months' salary, which is something that I intend to deal with before the end of this year. When there's a family and you go out onto the line and you put your life on the line every single day for the most noble of all professions, which is willing to put your life on the line for a stranger, for someone you do not know, and then the country, they see about your family by giving you 3 months' salary. It obviously would affect the morale of the service. It will affect the individual wanting to perform above and beyond the call of duty. And that has to go even with the Defense Force, the fire service, the prison officers with their concerns right now. So we have to obviously look at the concerns, look at the needs, provide them with the tools, the opportunity, and the capability for them to understand, listen, we would support you, we will assist you, we will look after your family. We need you to step out and do what is required.
Felicia Wilson-Mon, News 4.
News 4 continues right after the break. Stay with us. Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissessa has been awarded the 2013 Democracy Media from the International Association of Political Consultants. In her letter to accept the award, she noted and expressed her pleasure in serving this democratic nation.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessa has been awarded a 2013 Democracy Media by the 46th World Conference of the International Association of Political Consultants during an event in Antigua. The Prime Minister, who did not attend the award ceremony due to her heavy work schedule at home, wrote a letter of thanks which was read to the participants attending the gala event. The IAPC awards its Democracy Medal to an individual or organization who, in its judgment of its membership, has worked courageously to foster, promote and sustain the democratic process anywhere in the world. Past recipients of this prestigious award include Nelson Mandela and, more recently, Viktor Yushchenko of Ukraine. The IAPC has two primary goals. First and foremost, the organization is committed to fostering democracy and a democratic process throughout the world. Secondly, the organization has remained true to its original mission of fostering the growing and diverse profession of political consulting, as well as the practical aspects of democratic elections. Conference Chairman Matthew McMillan says Mrs. Persad-Bissessa is a true trailblazer in the Caribbean region. The IPAC believes that her rise to power in Trinidad and Tobago is a testament to the progress of women, both here in the region and around the world. Her policy initiatives have been revolutionizing, and her commitment to the development of her country and the Caribbean has been uncompromising. In her acceptance letter, which was read to the membership of the IAPC, the Prime Minister sent greetings to the conference on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and stated that she was honored to have been recognized by the conference. She says perhaps at no time has the democratic tradition been more evident than this year, 2013, when our country witnessed 4 separate elections, all of which were conducted without incident and within the frame specified in our constitution and with the avid participatory of our citizens. The Prime Minister continued, "There is not a morning that I wake up when I do not think about what is in the best interest of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. It is their will that guides me in every decision that I make. It is the gift of independence that ensures our freedom to be empowered to make choices and decisions that benefit ourselves." Mrs. Persad-Bissessa said that she looked forward to continuing to work with world leaders and with all Caribbean stakeholders to forward solutions in the interest of the global community, regardless of size or income. The award features a burnished rendering of Acropolis etched in relief on the face of a large bronze medal. The backside contains the engraved name of the recipient and the year it was bestowed. Appropriately, the certificate which accompanies the medal includes this universal recognized definition of democracy. Kimberly Kalawan, News 4.
Minister of Works and Infrastructure, Dr. the Honourable Surajratan Ramachan, is vowing to ensure that the unemployment relief progress or program that should be has a spotless image worthy of respect. He makes the vow as he launches an entrepreneurship program aimed at empowering URP employees.
Minister Ramachan says he is doing what he can to change the image of the URP into the forward-thinking, productive organization it is aiming to be. He makes this comment as the URP launches its entrepreneurship business training program. The program will empower some 120 URP employees and encourage them to become business owners and hard-working entrepreneurs. Minister Ramachan believes the hard work being done by the majority of the URP management to change the organization's image is being undermined by some delinquent senior URP employees.
If the indiscipline in the URP is at the top, then there certainly will be indiscipline at the bottom of the program. People only follow what the examples the leaders set, and therefore we're going to change that aspect of it also. Because I do believe that as much as there might still be some wastage in the program at the lower levels, there's a lot of wastage at the level of management.
However, he insists the overall image of the program is changing despite these delinquents. He notes, despite this black mark on the program, there are some persons in the URP who work hard and deliver on time, in budget, and do more than is expected of them. The Works Minister says he will not allow the image of the URP to suffer.
I do believe that the URP program over the last year has been changed. And the image of this program today is no longer one of being crime-ridden, wastage, low productivity, low performance. It is one now where substantial work is being done and where you can go out there and see the benefit of the fact that the country spends $419 million a year in URP. That's taxpayers' money. And people pay part of their profits and so on into an unemployment relief fund so that people who work in the URP can get a wage and put food on the table for their children. And because it's taxpayers' money, we have an obligation to ensure that this money is well spent and that there's benefit to the communities where work is being done.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Desalcott, the desalination company of Trinidad and Tobago, will conduct a temporary shutdown of its Point Lisas plant. WASA has deemed this necessary for expansion works in order to boost its production capacity come 2014.
The Desalination Company of Trinidad and Tobago has advised the Water and Sewerage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, WASA, of a temporary shutdown of its desalination plant at Point Lisas. This is to facilitate expansion works to enable an increase in the plant's daily output from 32 million gallons per day to 40 million gallons per day by January 2014. The planned shutdown will take effect from 20th to the 25th of November and will have a significant negative impact on WASA's overall supply position in Trinidad. In order to mitigate the effects of this supply shortfall on operations, WASA will implement the following: a relocation of supply from the Carney water treatment plant, introduce temporary supply schedules, institute system of storage at critical service reservoirs, strengthen water trucking service, divert supply from various water treatment facilities to supplement areas in North, Central and South Trinidad, and accelerate a leak repair program. As a result, WASA has asked customers to manage their water use efficiently by reducing consumption, eliminating wasteful practices, address plumbing issues such as leaks at home and overflowing storage tanks, and maintain and establish a system of storage. The authority assures it will provide regular updates and timely notifications of changes in supply schedules. Kimberly Calawan, News 4.
News 4 continues after this. Stay with us. Senator the Honorable Devant Maharaj, Minister of Food Production, has recommissioned Marpa Farms in Manzanilla after years of it being in ruins. The farm once produced the widest collection of cocoa germplasm the world over.
The community of Plum Mitten has been given a new lease on life with the recommissioning of the Marpa Farms. In 1993, operations at the farms were scaled down, and subsequently the once major global conservation effort in cocoa, mango, avocado, banana and citrus generic resources was left to become an eyesore. But this all changed when the government gave its blessing for resuscitation and rehabilitation. At a small ceremony on Wednesday, the Honorable Devant Maharaj, Minister of Food Production, said he was very happy with the new life given to the community. He said government has major plans for the agriculture sector.
The Ministry of Food Production, currently under this administration, we intend as our objective to have over some 400 farmers cultivate close to 6,000 acres and more of underutilized arable lands in the northeast and southeast Trinidad.
Minister Maharaj said closure of Marpa Farms negatively impacted the local agri-sector.
But despite that illustrious role that Marpa was playing on the local, regional, and even on the international stage, the decision of the administration of the day to close it down, to downsize its operation, had a negative impact on so many areas of agriculture in Trinidad and by extension internationally. The shutdown of the Pool Agricultural Station preceded this, and the downsizing and eventual closure of this propagation station along with others such as La Pastora had a impact on the country which we are still feeling and continue to feel today.
Also addressing farmers on Wednesday was Member of Parliament for Kamuto Manzanella, Colin Partab, who stated that he was pleased that more jobs were now available for his constituents.
So the residents of Plum Road, you are getting a farm, and soon you are getting 70 jobs, which will, when the new establishment is made and Kelly sends it to the minister, 70 new jobs will be coming to this area, courtesy of your government, courtesy of your Prime Minister. Something which would not have happened before. Previous administrations had this place earmarked for absolutely nothing. They were going to get rid of the farm. But we saw it fit to bring it back to life.
Felicia Wilson-Maughan, News 4.
Well, before we wrap up, we take some time out to observe World Diabetes Day. Diabetes is a disease that affects millions around the world, with steps being taken to reduce its impact and prevalence. More in this report from Nikolai Edwards.
A person living with diabetes has a greater chance of survival and access to proper medical attention. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, with programs such as the Chronic Disease Assistance Program, or CDAP, working in tandem with a free public health care system, Trinbagonians can better manage the disease and the level of control it has over their lives. On Thursday, World Diabetes Day 2013 was observed and signified a day of celebration for those with diabetes who demonstrate that with access to the right diabetes care, education, and essential medicines, life can be lived to its fullest. However, the day also served as a stark reminder that research shows 1 in 10 of the world's population will have diabetes by 2035. It is estimated that people living with diabetes will surge from 382 million to 592 million, many in low and middle income countries and the majority under 60 years of age. Since 1991, World Diabetes Day has been celebrated annually on November 14th and is led by the International Diabetes Federation and the World Health Organization in response to the growing concerns about the escalating health threat that diabetes now poses. The Diabetes Association of Trinidad and Tobago noted that diabetes is one of the major health and development challenges of the 21st century. It says no country, rich or poor, is immune to the epidemic. In Trinidad and Tobago, 1 in 5 persons is diagnosed with the disease, and there is a significant amount of persons with pre-diabetes who are unaware of it. The Diabetes Association promotes the well-being of persons living with diabetes through many outreach programs by screening and educating the public as a means of prevention, management, and control of the disease. A healthy diet, exercise, self-control, regular screenings, and the right education can make the difference in determining your proneness to diabetes and other such chronic diseases. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of the News 4 Report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us.